My name is Kin Lian. I want to talk about HDB. Now, HDB has been the pride of Singapore ever since it was started in the early 1960s because it allowed many ordinary people to own their homes. And in the early days, the prices of HDB flats were quite low. I calculate it's about 3 years of salary. So what you earn for an average person over 3 years, you can buy a HDB flat. Of course, if you are lower income, you buy a 3-room flat. And if you are higher income, you buy a 4 or 5-room flat. But it was about average of 3 years of income. And also in the early days, the contribution to the CPF, Central Provident Fund, was quite high. So most people can buy their HDB flat by taking a part of their CPF savings. And this was very good for workers and ordinary people for about 20 years. And then when it comes to the mid-1980s, the price of HDB flat continued to rise, partly because the government decided to make HDB flat based upon market demand. So the price went up. Now this means the HDB flat become more expensive for people to afford, and this carried on for another 10, 20, 30 years. The price continued to increase very high, and I think this is not good for many young people. Find HDB flats are quite unaffordable. The price of HDB flats, that means that they have to pay, they have to take a loan for 25 years and pay a large sum of their income towards the HDB flat. So HDB flat become too costly. But now we have another problem. Because the flats were built in the 1960s and 1970s, many of the flats are now, or some are now approaching 40 years old, and some of them have exceeded 40 years. Now, the HDB flats were sold on a lease of 99 years. And under the current regulation, once the lease becomes less than 60 years, the bank will not offer a loan, and CPF savings cannot be used. Now, when the demand for these flats becomes dried up, the owners of these flats who are elderly and they want to retire, some of them want to sell their flats for cash and maybe to buy a smaller flat or to use the money for retirement. They find that they cannot sell these flats because of the current restriction that it must be 60 years or more. Now, this is an urgent problem, and I would like to ask for the people in charge to review these policies and allow CPF to be used even for flats that are less than 60 years of remaining lease, and to be used in full. Currently, it can be used subject to certain restrictions on the age of the buyer and on the amount that can be taken to pay the flat. These restrictions should be removed so that the market for old HDB flats can be active. It allows older people to sell their flats if they have to. It also allows younger people to buy shorter lease flats because it's cheaper for them, and they may find the new flats too expensive, so allow them to buy shorter lease flats. and this will make it more affordable to them. Now there is also another issue, but that is going to happen another 30-40 years down the road. Now what happens when the lease expires? You know, the flats were sold on 99 years lease, and at the end of 99 years, what happened? And of course, people are concerned that their investment in the HDB flat become of no value when the lease expires. Even when they are not around, they pass it to their children, then the lease has expired. And I would like to suggest that if the flats are still in good condition, and if there are no plans for redevelopment, that the government should allow the lease to be extended by 5 to 10 years. And that would, subject to payment of a premium, and this premium should be made affordable. After all, it is the owner who is applying for the lease to be extended. So this extension of lease would be the possibility of extending the lease would reduce the concern many older people now have that the HDB flat will have no value at the end of the lease. This is similar to what we have for our cars, vehicles, where at the end of the lease you can buy, extend the COE by another 5 or 10 years by paying the appropriate premium. So we do need to address this concern. First, about property less than 60 years, that we should have a market for it. And then for property that at the end of the lease, that people will know they can extend the lease by paying a premium. Let us make our HDB flat something that the citizens can be proud of. Let them feel that it is still a good investment, and the current concern that the value will drop sharply, let us remove those concerns with these changes in policy. Thank you.